Hey everyone, and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. Today we have something really damn interesting to talk about. So this could be really cool for the World of Warcraft economy and could also provide some great options to players. So what is this? A few strings have been added to the patch 7.1.5 PTR. What's a string? Well, yes, a string is a string, but it's also a computer thing. Not to get too technical, but it's a kind of data type when you're programming. It's a whole bunch of characters with quotation marks on either side. So you see a string of characters, and to us, that reads as a sentence, because we're like, hey, that's what a string of characters is. So you see strings appear in patch data because the developers have added them in to use, presumably, in that patch. So instead of telling the game's UI to display something letter by letter, they've already done that and stored it in a string. So they just say, hey game, display the string. What does this mean? Well, it means that while not every string that we see added to a patch is actually used, it does give us a very good idea of what the developers are thinking about doing with that patch. So what are these strings? Well, you can see them on the screen. It'd be a bit dull if I read them out, but the long and short of it is that they are referencing the ability to turn your WoW tokens into Battle.net balance. Now, you might be thinking, what is Battle.net balance? Well, it's basically a bit like your Steam wallet, but it's for Blizzard stuff. You can't withdraw it into actual money, but you can use it to purchase items from the store. You can't use it to buy stuff from the Blizzard gear store, so no physical items. What's super relevant to World of Warcraft, though, is that you can purchase character services with Battle.net balance, which obviously means this is a very interesting piece of potential functionality indeed. Now, I must reiterate, they have not released a statement on this. This is just based off data mining. It does just give us an indication as to what they might be thinking of doing. Now, this has been a bit of functionality that many of us have desired for quite a while. Many view the character services as being extortionately priced, so having more options would be absolutely fantastic, and doing it via Battle.net balance makes a whole deal of sense, as the pricing structure would be pretty damn simple to work with. You don't have to think, well, you know, a character change is worth 1 token, a server change is worth 2 tokens. No, it just all converts right down into US dollars, or whatever your local currency is, on the Battle.net website. Now, of course, doing it via Battle.net balance would mean you're able to purchase other Blizzard games for your World of Warcraft gold. Use your gold to buy a token, turn the token into balance, and then you go and buy Overwatch. Now, here's where it gets absolutely genius from a business development perspective. WoW token is worth 1 month of World of Warcraft subscription, but it costs more than 1 month. So using the American dollar as an example, a token costs $20. A subscription costs $15. Now, it would be fair to assume that if you were to exchange a WoW token for Battle.net balance, they would give you $15 of balance. So, let's say you want to buy a $60 Blizzard game with WoW token. Well, it would cost you 4 tokens, as 4 tokens presumably would be worth $60. Now, since 1 token is worth $15, i.e. the price of 1 month subscription, we then think, well, it costs $20 to purchase a token. So what this effectively means is that Blizzard would be earning $80 off selling a game at a $60 value through WoW token. Now, isn't that clever? I know businessy things like this seem a little bit scummy to some, but I actually think it makes a lot of sense overall, and I have to commend their craftiness if this is something that they actually plan on doing. I guess it's a case of hate the game, not the player. And now, of course, it's still a fantastic value add for players, I think, on both sides of the fence. If you don't have the real-life income to afford, say, another Blizzard game or a character service, this is a genuinely fantastic option. The cost, including that $5 premium associated per token, that's footed by the people who can easily afford that anyway, so I think to the people who being able to purchase games with in-game gold, you know, who I think this is really what it matters a lot to, this is just more options. Now, what does this do to the economy? Well, I think it's safe to say the demand for token would go up quite a bit. The price of WoW token works based off supply and demand, and it's also completely managed by Blizzard. High demand for tokens will cause increased prices if the supply doesn't increase to match it. Now, IRL cash-wealthy players, you know, are they necessarily going to purchase and then sell more tokens because of this? Well, if the gold value goes up, it's worth more in-game gold, so for the people who have the real money, it's going to be still worth it to them. Overall, I think it's kind of hard to predict, and it's somewhat irrelevant because you can't actually speculate on the WoW token market. When you purchase a token, it's actually locked to its current market value, so you're not able to buy a bunch of tokens and then hold on to them until they're worth more. It's basically a system that cannot be gamed. So you can't do any stock market shenanigans here. Now, another interesting side effect of this is that, as an example, the in-game store mounts are now, in a roundabout way, purchasable by gold. if they decide to do this. And I have to keep on reiterating, this is not confirmed, this is just based on data mining. You could buy a token, get that Battle.net balance, convert it into a mount. Thinking about the other Blizzard titles, it would allow Hearthstone players to buy packs of cards with gold via Battle.net balance. Same goes for loot crates and Overwatch. I have to wonder if this would convince players of other Blizzard games, especially Hearthstone, to take up World of Warcraft. I have to wonder if this would convince players of other Blizzard games, especially say Hearthstone, to take up World of Warcraft as a way of financing purchasing additional packs and arena runs. Now that is getting a little bit extreme, but if this data mine information is as it appears to be, that could be where we end up. At a minimum, I think it would make sense to allow for in-game services to be purchased in this manner. If Blizzard decide that it is overall a net negative to allow people to purchase other Blizzard titles with Battle.net balance through WoW token, maybe I can see that, because for the Overwatch player, they're thinking, well, just because I don't play World of Warcraft, it means I can't do this whole token thing to get other games or more loot boxes for free, and maybe that's actually something that Blizzard would be adverse to. Again, we have absolutely no idea. This is not confirmed, this is just sitting there in data mining, and I think it's an extremely interesting topic to get out there. Generally, the idea of in-game sort of, virtual economies is completely fascinating to me anyway, especially when we put that real-world dollar value on the in-game currency. This also, I suppose, would further solidify that correlation between World of Warcraft Gold and real-life currency. Once again, that's pretty nifty in the same way that EVE Online is interesting, partially, due to the real-world value that, the ISK in that game has due to its Plex system, which is actually the system that WoW Token is somewhat based off. I think this would be a very positive change overall, because it would give players more options. Sure, Blizzard will make a few bucks, but there isn't really anything wrong with that, especially when it's essentially allowing players who are cash rich to subsidize the gameplay of players who mightn't otherwise be able to afford it. And just thinking back to myself, that really does sound like a bit of political commentary. Just going to steer very much clear of that and say that I'm talking about the context of video games only here. Now, one thing I would like to bring up, and I alluded to this earlier, but the price of in-game character services is silly. It shouldn't be so punishing to change servers because you want to play with your friends. My guild moved over, and if I was to transfer all 8 of my characters from Alliance to Horde, and then to a new server, it's over £40 a character. That's the price of a full game. A little bit crazy. So, every time that I bring up character services, I feel obliged to mention how much of a rip-off I feel they are, and, even with WoW Token, that's going to be a shitload of gold if you want to move a whole bunch of characters via token with Battle.net balance. Anyway, that's basically my piece said here. I'm really keen to hear what you have to say about this, because I think it could be a very interesting and perhaps even a somewhat industry-leading position for Blizzard to take if they so choose to. That's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.